Hey now, it's Brace for Impact, and I'm your host, Mike Gilbert, and I'm going solo on that ass, but it's still the same. We're talking Impact Wrestling. I'm actually watching the end of Bound for Glory right now, so I just wanted to get a jump on everybody. Alex Shelley just retained the Impact World Heavyweight Championship by defeating Josh Alexander in the main event of Bound for Glory. Josh actually shook his hand. They got a big hug. They did the whole thing, and then he put the belt around his waist. And we're seeing a big announcement here. I'll put the mic up to the iPad speaker. We got Jordan Grace here. What's she up to? There's Macklin. Sleepy Village. Dreams of city life. And still there's nobody. Ain't no frame to the picture. Ain't no proper phone. I see I have no idea what the hell's going on. It's just more it's just like slow motion stuff happening. I have no idea. Frankie Kazarian comes out of the water and he's carrying a box. Is there something in the box that we need to know about? And then there's Alex Shelley. And they're standing around. Oh, there's Sabin. He's got a steel mohawk. There's Josh Alexander. Wow, they are taking forever to get to the point here.
I think we all know why we're here. I can still hear it. People want to pretend that it went away, but we're reminded of every day.
That's Frankie Kazarian.
All of you, you're my brothers. You're my sisters. And I feel it in my core. Professional wrestling is bleeding. There needs to be a change. This is that change.
A change of it's a box he dug out of the lake.
We have to go back to where it all started.
I look around and I know that if we had everything that we wanted, then that means we didn't want or dream big enough.
They thought we had been rigged. They thought that the book was closed. Let's rewrite those pages. Replace them with our own words, with our own story.
This is brutal. Come on, get to the point. What?
We're the kings and queens of our own stories. This story, it's time for the next chapter.
All I've ever wanted was to be here, a part of this, part of something bigger than any one person. Now, I can't. I guess there's only one thing left to do.
Guys, this could have been an email. Oh no. They're going back to fucking TNA. Of all the things that they could have done. Oh my God. Why are they going back? Well, it's at the Palms in Las Vegas, Saturday, January 13. That was the announcement. The nerds in the crowd like it. I don't know about this one, guys. All right. So that was the big announcement. The big announcement was that Impact Wrestling is going back to TNA. Oh my God. What are they thinking? It took them so long to get away from the stink of TNA. And I really felt like they had actually accomplished that. And here they are back to TNA. I wonder if they're going to do the six-sided ring. I'm really curious about that. Oh my gosh. Oh man. So yeah, yep. It's definitely TNA wrestling is back. I have no idea what the fuck is going on. So yeah. I guess we'll just go ahead and get I'm honestly I'm dumbfounded. It was kind of cool to watch that in real time with along with the rest of you guys. But I honestly like that was the last thing I actually thought that they would ever do would be to go back to TNA. I legitimately am dumbfounded right now. I typically have, you know, a ton of stuff to say. I typically have an opinion on everything. I typically have jokes to make, but I just cannot fathom why they're doing that. I'm gonna tell the boys in the chat, come join me, guys. Yeah, I just don't understand why why they would do that. But hey, everybody, thank you for tuning in here to the Brace for Impact show. This is the Bound for Glory 2023 recap show. We had a hell of a show. I gotta be honest. I think it was hands down easily the best pay-per-view of Impact so far this year. And I'm not kidding. That's not hyperbole. That's not, me just kind of having some recency bias. I legitimately believe this was the best Impact show of the year. I really, really enjoyed the show. It was freaking awesome. Top to bottom, I think there was a cool down match, and we'll get in to it. Hey, 10:40 or 10:4:10. Yeah, I'm in. I was watching live, so if you're just joining us, I'm gonna bring Nonzo into the stage. Nonzo, are you there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm here. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. So I was fully prepared to talk about Speedball and Will Ospreay, talk about Ace and Bay versus the Rascals, Jordan Grace winning the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, Mickey and Trinity, of course, the main event with Josh Alexander and Alex Shelley. But we just had a bombshell dropped on us, and I honestly I really don't have the words to explain what the hell just happened. But TNA wrestling is back. Impact is going back to the TNA well. I think this is the first time since I think TNA died in 2016. I want to say 2016, 2017 timeframe.
Yes,
TNA is
2016.
now back. What are your thoughts on TNA wrestling being back?
I don't like it. I just don't like it.
Yes.
Everything about TNA, everything about TNA was just negative. So
Yes.
we were trying to get rid of that stench. And for the past 5 years is ironic because we were actually just talking about it, the 5-year plan. We're talking about the 5-year plan, and then I guess this was the result of the 5-year plan. TNA being back, which to me doesn't make any sense at all because
Yeah.
everything that resonates with TNA, a lot of it was just negative. So I was expecting Anthem to use those 5 years to sort of, change all the negative perception that they had so far, and which they've done to a degree. They've done a pretty good job at that to a degree, but just reverting back to TNA just doesn't make any sense to me at all. And
Yeah.
I guess it was pretty disappointing because I had this I wouldn't want to say expectation because I always keep my expectation with Impact to a degree because I've in the past I've always had high expectations for Impact and they've always burned me time and time again. So I try to keep my expectation at a minimal. I was sort of expecting like a tease for Punk, but even though part of me was expecting something else, I was expecting like a debut or something.
Yeah.
Maybe an Okada or a Tanahashi coming to the pay per view at Hard to Kill or something. I wasn't expecting this. This to me was just pretty disappointing, man. Sorry.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know, I really did feel like they got away from the TNA LOL.
Yeah.
You know, occasionally people will still call them TNA and they do it as kind of an insult
Yeah.
to what they currently are now.
Exactly.
And man, I'm honestly shocked. I don't see the reason, don't see the point. I'm very much a guy who thinks that you should always move forward and never go backwards.
Exactly.
And I do feel like going back to TNA is a step in the wrong direction. I just don't. I legitimately just don't understand. It makes absolutely no sense to me to go back to TNA wrestling.
It makes no sense to me at all. I don't know what the business justification is. Maybe there's something big in the cards. I don't know what it is, but from what I'm seeing right now, there's just no business justification. I don't know what the big deal is for me at all. I like the Impact's name. I think they should still keep going with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. It really doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. 10 410 in the chat says, I guess they felt they've gained enough goodwill to change back. That makes no sense to me. It's like,
No.
I don't understand why. Like they have goodwill now. Keep it going and make something new. Don't go back to something that failed. You know, I literally just don't understand it. Like, what would be the point? Do they expect to get better business by being TNA versus Impact Wrestling? TNA was like a more famous name.
Yeah,
They actually did have
the
they
one
actually
that,
did have a big TV deal at one time. They were much
yeah,
more popular when they were called TNA, but
yeah.
part of part of the downfall was the fact that they were called TNA. If they were called Impact Wrestling from the beginning, they might have had a better shot. But the name TNA, I've always felt like was holding them back.
The,
In
the
the
thing
chat, we
about
got go ahead, Nonzo.
yeah, sorry. The thing about TNA is a much bigger name than Impact. There's been instances like the one night only show that they did back in 2020, before the start of the pandemic, where they had show and they had some good ratings for that show. And I remember when Scott came out on a podcast and I was alluding to the fact that Anthem was like, we should actually like bring back the TNA name. Scott at the time realized that Impact did not have the resources to have a second show. So to him, it just didn't make any sense. So maybe they were building up to this moment. I don't understand. I mean, I really don't understand. But just that, no, they need to move on from it, man. They just got to move on from it. It's the old saying, one step forward, two steps back. It's not a good move, man. It's just not a good move.
No, it's not a good move. And we'll be talking TNA for a little while, but I do want to get your reaction on the show tonight. Remove TNA from the equation. When it was still called Impact Wrestling, I felt that Impact put on a pretty damn good show called Bound for Glory. What'd you think of it?
Um, Well, this was their best show of the year for me. It was
Yeah,
definitely better than Slammiversary. It was better than Rebellion. It was better than Hard to Kill. Um, it had some good matches. It had some really good matches. I was a bit disappointed at the end with Josh and Shelly. I expected more from that match, especially considering they had a much better match at Emergence, and I guess because I had a lot of expectation for this match, especially
yeah,
with the Osprey Bailey match that just happened previously that just took the show. So I expected, Shelly and Alexander to rival that match, but it was I wouldn't say it was a bad match. I wouldn't say it was a good match. It felt like an okay match. It wasn't your typical Alexander match that we've seen in the past. and it was also it wasn't your Shelley match as well. These two, I expected much better from the both of them in this match, and I guess it didn't live to my expectation. But overall, the
Yeah.
pay-per-view was really good. Osprey Bailey, oh Jesus, man. Yo, I'm with you, man. I would go down to San Jose to see Meltzer if we don't get a 5-star rating.
Yeah, I told so me
Sorry.
and Dave actually have we have a mutual friend that me and him are both pretty tight with. Me and Dave don't know each other, but we
Right.
we have a very close mutual friend. And I texted him, I was like, if Dave doesn't give this match at least 5 stars, I'm tell him I'm flying to San Jose. I've been to war. Okay.
Yeah,
it won't be nice
exactly.
when I come to like he needs to give it 5.
He has to give a 5-star. He's been pretty generous with some of the points, with some of the star ratings he's given Impact in the past, especially last year, Bound for Glory, where he gave Eddie and Alexander 4.5. And I also believe he did the same thing for Sabin and Kazarian as well. So
Yeah.
I mean, come on, Osprey Bailey, that match beat those two matches hands down. I mean, they're out to get a 5-star match. This has to be the second 5-star match Impact gets from Meltzer, at least. It was a really
Yeah.
good match. It was a really good
Yeah.
match.
So I'm thinking I don't know. I'm thinking this is from I don't know where this update just came from, but Gerard just sent me an update. Gerard from bodyslam.net. I don't know where he pulled it from, but it said this is an update on Matt Cardona and Impact. Cardona had been a regular for Impact Wrestling until earlier this year when he and Impact stopped working together. We're told that Impact wanted to stop using non-contracted wrestlers so much and that Cardona wasn't interested in signing a contract, and he's doing well with that one. Naturally poses the question regarding this. We're told that Cardona's booking is a one-off and he's not signed a contract with the company. The two sides seem to be open to working together. So yeah, it looks like that he is just doing a one-night deal with Impact. So this must have just been for the show tonight. But hey, Nonzo, I'm gonna go ahead and let you go. I'm gonna bring on Dobby the Brain Heenan. All right, buddy.
All right, man. Later.
All right, take care, buddy.
Later.
Dobby, what's up, man? What are your thoughts on TNA coming back? Dobby, you there?
Hey, Mike, you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you, buddy. Hey, what are your thoughts on TNA
Oh, no,
coming
can you
back?
hear me?
Yeah.
Mike, is it on?
Oh, no.
Yes, it's on.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Dude, I did not expect TNA coming back.
Last thing I ever expected was for TNA to come back. Yeah. So real quick, what are your thoughts on TNA? Is this a good move or a bad move? Dobby, you there? All right, hey Dobby, I cannot hear you, buddy. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you go. Okay. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate you. Dobby the Brain Heenan, he is a big help to my Patreon. He always keeps me in check, make sure I don't say anything stupid. But Dobby, I'm gonna go ahead and remove you, and then I'm gonna bring on my old friend Jason Hagholm. Jason, who actually did a TNA podcast for a long time. So Jason, what are your thoughts on TNA coming back?
This is so stupid. Why would you come back to something that was actually terrible? So you rebranded, and it took a while to get going, but your Impact brand is actually very successful in its own little market. Sure, you're not like maybe number 2 like you once were at one point in the North American landscape, but I think a lot of people respected what Impact Wrestling has done over these past few years. The product's great. I can't say, didn't watch the show. I'm sure it was a good show. I'm sure there was some excellent matches. But why would you come back to something that most wrestling fans were like, this was awful? You can't keep rebranding every 5 years. Who thought this idea was good? And a 5-minute video to bring back the past? Like,
oh my God.
This was terrible. Why would you do this? I don't know. Like, some fans are excited about this. Is not a good idea. Like, this is a terrible idea.
The only people that are really that enjoy this are the ones that actually like were hardcore TNA fans and never saw TNA's faults. You know, they were just so caught up in supporting that company that they never really saw any of the downside of what they were doing. They don't understand that TNA has such a negative connotation when it comes to advertisers, when it comes to wrestling fans, when it comes to like this outside of the bubble thing. They only like it for their little small community. And if I was one of those people that was kind of pushing for Impact to continue to grow, and I felt like this year was probably their most successful year since Anthem bought the company. I honestly don't even think that's a question. Like, they had Slammiversary was one of their top pay-per-views in the last 5 years, and they did it without bringing in a ton of outsiders. You know what I mean? They did it with just their people. So I'm dumbfounded. I'm shocked. We had a great pay-per-view tonight, and I really do want to talk about the pay-per-view, but I saw Jason DM me on Twitter, and I really just wanted to get your thoughts on them bringing TNA back, considering you're a TNA podcasting OG.
Dude, I just woke up from a nap and I saw that. I was like, what year is this? What has happened? How can we go back to something that was remembered as being so bad? Like, Vince Russo booking and inside out battle royals and X domes and stuff like that. That was not good. And Orlando Jordan. Like, we don't need memories of this. It's not good. I don't know why. Like, Impact's, like I was saying, it's actually really good. They have built some stars up in their own self. Like, look what they've done with Josh Alexander and things like that. And I know he was a fan of the TNA product before he ever became a pro wrestler, but you don't need to go back to this. I don't understand. Like, can you imagine if WWE like rebranded every 10 years or whatever it may be? Like, what is the point in this? I don't understand. The nostalgia act is one thing, but it just seems like they're trying to go on tour. Like, the band's back together. It's like like Poison going back on tour. We're back together. It's like, okay, but we're all older now. And we all understand that maybe we're not that great.
No, I don't know what the hell's going on. Like, so when they said they had a big announcement that was going to close out Hard to Kill, and they gave Alexander and Shelley in the main event, they gave them like way more time than they normally would give one of their main events, right? Like more than 30 minutes. Impact main events typically go less than 30. And I was like, oh, what are they doing? And I was like, obviously there's the Punk rumors that are out there. And I felt like that was a long shot, but I don't think it's impossible considering he's running out of options, right? So I was like, oh, maybe they're going to do a Punk announcement. And then I was just like, well, you know what? Okada recently said that he wanted to come back to Impact and do some stuff. He said it in a press conference, and he just recently wrestled the Motor City Machine Guns and Josh Alexander in Japan. So I was like, okay, well, maybe they're bringing in Okada to Hard to Kill. That would be huge. That would be worth it. But instead, what we get is a 5-minute video of Frankie Kazarian digging up something out of the pet cemetery, something that had been dead and buried. He got it at the bottom of a lake, a box, and he brought it out. And it took forever to get there because they were moving fast in real life, but it was filmed in slow motion. So because Impact likes their dramatic slow motion videos, but it's TNA is back, and I just cannot believe it. It's wild, Jason.
I can't believe it either, but I'm just wondering now, with the NWA putting out the news that they got a TV deal with the CW, is TNA maybe trying to get themselves like a better TV deal than Access, even though Anthem owns the company and that network? Like, is that kind of maybe the thinking behind this?
Well, the thing, so the TV deal stuff has been getting tossed around for years now, and I have been a part of that because I'm a podcaster and I need topics to talk about. And so when there's a rumor, I kind of expand on those things. Unless it's a big money deal, it wouldn't make any sense to move off of Access, because you're basically putting the future of your company into somebody else's hands when right now you control the entire future by distributing it through your own means. Right. And I feel like since Anthem has bought it, they have been more stable than even when they were at their peak with TNA, because they always had the fact that Spike could cancel out at any moment and they could be done for. And that's exactly what happened in 2014 when Spike canceled it. So I just don't see, unless it's like a huge network that's going to be paying them a lot of money, I just don't see them moving off of Access. And I get the feeling that they might have been in those conversations with CW, but CW isn't really paying for content right now. They got Live Golf. That's an ad share deal. Like, that's all that they're doing for these folks. So I just didn't see that as being like an upward thing if they weren't getting a rights fee.
I just don't understand the logic in going back to something like maybe like the name brand may have more value to networks or brands or something like that. So
they must, Jason, they must know something that we don't know, because
they have to.
I will say this for Anthem. what they do seems to be working, right? Like they keep buying up a lot of these smaller properties. I think they're doing a pretty good job with Invicta. Invicta's next show, as you can attest to, the one that's coming up in Boston, is probably going to be the biggest that they've done with Anthem, right?
Yeah, that's next Friday, so it's their debut on the East Coast. But for me, since Invicta was purchased by Anthem, it seems like that product's kind of slowed down a bit. They put on less shows. They're signing a bunch of women talent, but they only have so many shows to put on, like 10 fights maximum. And it just seems like since Invicta left Fight Pass, it's kind of actually hurt the product in a sense, but maybe that's still just the feeling out process from Anthem getting into the MMA game with Invicta, which is in a way a niche product, just an all women's MMA promotion, but a quality promotion with a history. But I mean, they're trying to explore new markets, and Boston's obviously a big deal for them to hit on the East Coast if they want to explore. But and I know obviously Impact's done very well. I guess I can call it TNA now. It's not an assault. It's TNA.
It took me so long to stop calling it TNA.
Right. Like I went to I think it was Hard to Kill or one of the pay-per-views in 2019. It was like, it's not TNA, it's Impact. And now it's like all that training you've done to your brain, let's throw that away. It's back to being TNA. Like, this is insane. I don't understand. This has to be some major reason behind this. I'm sure Scott D'Amore has the answer for this. Anthem has the answer for this, but it doesn't make sense.
Until it gets explained, it doesn't make sense. I don't know the numbers. I don't know, the financials. I don't know the reasons. I get the feeling we're going to be finding out relatively soon. Lucha just put in the chat, Lucha Doncic, my homie, that Mike Johnson is going to be dropping something at 11:15-ish Eastern Standard Time. So we should be getting that. Impact uses him as their surrogate whenever they need to get information out there. But hey, Jason, man, I'm going to go ahead and just continue to talk about the pay-per-view. Thank you for hopping on with me, brother. And next time actually watch the show, come back on and we'll do a post show.
I will. I mean, I was very interested in it, but I passed out and then I woke up. I was like, TNA's back. And I was like, what year is this?
Osprey and Speedball 5+, baby, 5+. I'm going to go ahead and call that one right now. But hey, all right, Jason, thanks a lot, buddy.
Have a good one.
You too. All right, that was Jason Hagholm. It was really cool having him on because he was like, even before BQ and before TNA IW and all these other TNA wrestling podcasts, there was Jason Hagholm. He was big time. But man, like I actually had to change the name to this show because TNA is back. Greg Blanton, listener of the show, y'all are worried about a name like TNA when the world is going to crap rapidly all around us. TNA is tame in comparison and all is good. Yeah, you're right. It's not, it's not Hamas attacking Israel. So I guess you got me there, buddy. JD Oliva, TNA LOL returns. Lucha, Mike G, check the chat. Brother Gerard dropped the shit. Lucha, when are you going to come on the show, my dog? What are you doing? Let's see. All right. Company officials confirmed that the new year will launch a new look TNA wrestling that runs from the entrance ramp to turnbuckles in the ring to larger, more prestigious venues, much more. Further details on TNA wrestling return will be revealed on Tuesday, October 24th, when Scott D'Amore sits down for an interview with Tom Hannafin. They'll air live on Impact's, I guess, TNA's Facebook page, starting at 12 noon Eastern. The Q&A will include questions from worldwide pro wrestling media. Maybe Rich from Voices of Wrestling will get me in on that one. But should we go brace for tits and ass? I guess. Official Lil Silva, he is a big fan of that, meaning that he will get the TNA titles back too. I guess so. There is lots to talk about, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and pop the link in the chat again if you guys want to call in. The StreamYard link is right there. You don't have to accept video. You can just hit that button and go ahead and come in and say your piece. We're talking TNA, and we are talking all things Bound for Glory. You guys got me here for a little bit longer, and then I have to go. I have to go in like 30 minutes. So please join in on the show. So I'm going to go ahead and just break out into into the show. So the night started, like, honestly, like I said, this was probably the best Impact pay-per-view of the year. I really enjoyed it. The show started off with Chris Sabin and versus Kenta for the X Division Championship, and that was next to the Josh Alexander match. That was one of the better Kenta matches I've seen in a long time. Kenta really decided to bring it here, and he didn't actually even do much. Look, Chris Sabin's a great worker. And when Kenta wants to be, he can. And I think he was also helped by the fact that this crowd was just on fire tonight. It was you folks in Chicago were on fire. So thank you. You guys really added to the enjoyment of the show. But yeah, so Chris Sabin defeated Kenta for the X Division Championship, and then we immediately went into Monsters Ball. And I really want to talk about this because unbelievably, that PCO pinned Moose in Monsters Ball. PCO, who gave his notice at the last set of tapings in Memphis that he was going to be leaving Impact at the end of October, won a big match over their number one contender on pay-per-view. And I don't know that he's resigned. I get the feeling that he's staying, right? Like, I would say that they wouldn't do anything that incompetent, but the fact that they pinned Moose and now he's going to be headlining the next pay-per-view tells me that they're okay with doing stuff that's incompetent, because Moose is still the number one contender and he's going to go headline the match despite the fact that he lost tonight. But that's kind of how Impact does. I guess that's how TNA does it. That's what TNA does. So TNA going to TNA, I guess. So, but I thought the match was really good. I like all four of these guys. I thought they did a great job. And there was kind of a funky spot where Moose powerbombed PCO to some cinder blocks that was covered in thumbtacks. And he looked like he landed right on the back of his head, and then all the thumbtacks were in his head. I think his back was supposed to take, like, I've seen powerbombs before, and I think his back was supposed to take most of the impact, but he landed right on the back of his fucking head. That it sounded vicious, it looked vicious, and I'm sure that it was vicious. But yeah, PCO, with a little bit of help from Bully Ray, who came down and threw Steve Macklin off the top rope into some barbed wire. He essentially helped PCO win the match, but yeah, PCO got the victory there. So, and then next we go to the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, and I don't have a complete list. Let me see. I'm going to try to find next we go to the Impact Tag Team Championship. So this was another great match. So at this point, they're 3 for 3. Now, ABC, they regained the titles by defeating the Rascals. That'd be Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz. This was, just a very, very good junior heavyweight tag team match. Just action, all action from start to finish. Great storytelling. They had a little chicanery with the spray paint, which ultimately backfired. So, that's pro wrestling 101, right? The Rascals have essentially won all of their big matches by using the spray paint, and the babyface foiled the heel finally. Zachary Wentz with the spray paint. I can't remember if it was Ace or Bay. And he was fooled. He ends up spray painting Trey Miguel instead. And then, of course, the match goes on a little bit longer, and ABC hits both of their finishers. And Wentz took the fold like a champion, by the way, from Ace Austin, and the ABC ends up getting the victory. And then next we go to Will Ospreay defeating Mike Bailey. And without a doubt, this is the Impact match of the year. I don't think it's even going to be close. It was just bell to bell awesome. Like, the moment that Ospreay and Speedball got in the ring together, the crowd just went apeshit, chanting, "Holy shit, this is awesome." And then the match started, and there just wasn't a down point in the match. Even whenever it seemed like they were taking a little bit of a break, the crowd was so hot for the match and so on fire for it that they just kept the energy going. And just start to finish, just an amazing match. It's well worth your time. I would say it's got to be 5 stars or better, easily. And I'm not a guy that rates matches, so I'm not going to give it a rating. But I will be personally insulted if it wasn't more than 5 stars. And in fact, I have seen some people give it less than 5 stars, and I think they're just taking off points because it was an Impact. Like they downgrade the match quality because of the company that it's in. I have seen people doing that because they feel like it's not as important. so that they're actually downgrading it. But yeah, Will Ospreay versus Speedball, just a fantastic match. If you have not seen it, please go out of your way to watch it. And then to call your shot gauntlet, Jordan Grace defeated. She ends up pinning Bully Ray in the end of the match. Bully Ray and Jordan Grace were the last two standing, and Jordan Grace hit the Grace driver and pinned Bully Ray. Which was surprising. I didn't think that Bully would pin Grace. I figured Grace was winning. I thought maybe Macklin would help her win, which would have cheapened it a little bit. But no, Bully, man, give it to him. And he actually took that Grace driver like a champ. Like she landed that damn thing perfectly. It was just perfectly executed. It looked great. But we had some surprises. We had Sonny Kiss making his Impact debut. I believe it's his debut. I don't think he's ever been in Impact before. We had Juventud Guerrera making his return. Matt Cardona made his return again. That was just a one-off. And I believe that was really the end of the surprises there. I don't remember there. Oh, Johnny Swinger came back, but he works there, so I don't really consider that a surprise. But I'll be honest, I typically am not a big fan of the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, but I actually really enjoyed this. There at this point we're 4 for 4, and there's not really much of a letdown match, and so they really did do an amazing job. I really did like it. And then next we're gonna go to the Impact Knockouts Championship match. If there was kind of a downward turn, it would have been this match. Not that it was a bad match. I think they worked really hard, but I think by this point the crowd was a bit exhausted. And these two could not really get them back into the show for whatever reason. And the match wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either. It was a decent match. Trinity ends up defeating Mickie James, and she retains the title. Jordan Grace will be challenging Trinity at Hard to Kill. And if you're wondering why they're already announcing all the matches for Hard to Kill, and I think it's because of this TNA rebrand. Because the next couple of months they're overhauling their entire production. They're overhauling everything. And in accordance with this rebrand. So that's why they're doing all this. And they're actually taking like the next couple of months off of doing standard television taping. So a lot of the storylines that they had in play won't be happening, right? They're actually heading over to England where they're going to be doing 4 events, and a lot of the TV is going to be coming from there, and it won't be the your typical production that you're going to see. And then of course in November they're going to do some stuff with AAA, and then they're going up into Toronto the rest of November and on into December, where they're going to be taping at the television studio in Toronto before they make it back to the Pearl at the Palms in January. So it makes sense, because then right after this, Moose said that he's cashing in his Feast or Fired briefcase, and he's going to challenge for the Impact World Championship at Hard to Kill. And when he said that, I was like, oh shit, I think I might have been wrong about Shelley winning, because I assumed that Shelley would be turning heel based on his character work heading into the main event, but he did not turn heel. Shelley defeats Josh Alexander in the main event. Again, this was another good main event. I just don't think that after the Speedball match, and of course the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, where the crowd just stayed up and they kind of took a dip in the Trinity Mickie James match, and they really never got back up to the level that they were at. And Alex Shelley and Josh Alexander worked typically a hard-hitting, more methodical style, and so the energy just wasn't there for it. But that doesn't mean it wasn't still a pretty good match, because these are two of the best in the world. But it wasn't like you're super exciting. I don't think they're going to get more than 4 stars from anybody, and that that's okay. The whole show was still awesome, and the main event was still pretty good too. But yeah, Alex Shelley in a babyface fashion defeats Josh Alexander clean, thus cementing his solidifying his title win and his title reign. And it's going to be curious to see where they go with Alexander next. I know he's teaming up with Eric Young on some shows in the UK. So that should be pretty cool. But I like the fact that Shelley won. I think he's doing the best work of his career. I think he's a great main eventer, and he's awesome. So I'm really glad that they're going to keep him as champion. And I'm Alexander's gonna have to take a few steps back, and then of course he'll be able to make it back on the comeback trail. And I'm sure eventually he'll be winning that title once again. So, yeah, Bound for Glory was a hell of a show, and then of course they closed with that god awful vignette, that 5-minute vignette, where it just took forever to get to the fucking point. I'm like, guys, this could have been an email. So. But here I'm gonna do a share screen. I'm gonna let you guys in on some stuff here. We're just going to take a look at what's going on Twitter right now. So we got Impact Wrestling. Impact Wrestling is returning to its iconic total nonstop action name at Hard to Kill in January, which will originate for the first time ever from the Palms Casino Resort in Las Vegas, Nevada. Of course, that's going to be the Pearl at the Palms. I have been to that venue before. It is a decent sized venue. It is a nice venue. It's not huge, right? It's not super huge. Look, trending in the United States, TNA is back. Yeah, TNA is definitely back. Whether or not that's a good thing, we're going to find out. I don't know that that's a good thing or not. I'm leaning into it not being a good thing. But we will see. We will absolutely see. I just don't know. Okay. Now, Sean Ross Sapp, he posted a full press release. We'll go ahead and read excerpts from it. So, for immediate release, so Anthem Sports Entertainment, a global multi-platform media company, announced today that its professional wrestling company, Impact Wrestling, is returning to its iconic total nonstop action wrestling name at Hard to Kill, its first pay-per-view event of 2024, which originated for the first time ever from the Palms. Okay. Announcement was made Saturday. It'll launch 2024 with a second night of action-packed professional wrestling. The Snake Eyes Extravaganza show at the Palms on Sunday. The Snake Eyes Extravaganza show will be taped to air on the company's flagship weekly show, Impact, airing every Thursday night on Access TV. I don't know what that means. I'm going to need some clarification there. We'll still hear the TNA. So this is from Demore. We still hear TNA chants everywhere we go. Fans have longed for TNA wrestling, so that's what we're bringing back in 2024. TNA wrestling, we are back. Tickets for both Hard to Kill and the Snake Eyes Extravaganza show. So I think Snake Eyes Extravaganza show, that's just the theme of the episode that they're going to be taping. That's because they do like themed stuff from there. So yeah, this is completely wild. I am dumbfounded. So we're going to cancel that. Okay. So let's go to the chat. So Greg Blanton in the chat. If they end up re-signing PCO, I hope he joins Crazy Steve as the leader of Decay. I don't know if that's what they do. Official Silver says, yes, new look, and I'm glad they said major upgrades. Absolutely. And then he also says, R.I.P. that horrible theme song. I think it means we owned the night. Yeah, we owned the night. Absolutely. And then Lil Silver says again, yes, I'm glad Shelley won. 2, he needed that win to prove that he can beat Josh. Yeah. You know what? I think that kind of, that's exactly what they needed. They cemented that he was the champion. This is from NAP 528. PW Insider reports that the TNA decision was made 2 to 3 weeks ago. New TNA titles have been made, and there are no plans for the 6-sided ring. Thank God on the 6-sided ring. I never really cared for that. The only thing I liked about the 6-sided ring was that they had the 6 sides of steel. That was really the only thing that I actually liked about that. But yeah, I'm just okay. Hold on. I'm going to go ahead and read this one. So the big change was announced tonight during a video package. I think, okay. So this is from PW Insider. PW Insider is told by Impact TNA sources that the decision was made for several reasons. One, it would unite the fragmented history of the promotion, which at different times was known as TNA, then Global Force, and then finally Impact Wrestling. A secondary factor in making the decision was that a number of the company's international partners preferred the TNA names and at times were still using the name internally. We were also told that the company also quietly polled long-term fans of the promotion, so it's your fucking fault, earlier this year and learned that many of them stated they preferred the TNA name. Fans who have chanted TNA since the promotion returned to the road have also been a factor in the company thinking about making the change. And then finally flipping the switch back. There was a lot of TNA nostalgia several years ago when the promotion brought back the TNA title with Moose as the title holder, with the original plan for the company to revive TNA as a separate TV series and possibly promotion out of TNA reunion pay-per-view, but the COVID-19 pandemic stalled those plans before they were dropped. Instead of 2 different promotions and a TV series, TNA has returned to the name of the company. The plan is for Impact to close out the remainder of the year and then transition over to the TNA name in January, with the Hard to Kill pay-per-view in Las Vegas being the first official TNA show. UK tour will still utilize the Impact Wrestling name going forward. The TV series will then be known as TNA Impact Wrestling. I'm under the impression they will return to using the old logos as of January. There will be a new TNA Championship belts rolled out with the current title holders using those belts instead. The new belts have already been crafted and produced, and they aren't likely to be used until January. There are zero plans to return to the old six-sided ring, PW Insider is told. This wasn't even discussed, as just about every talent still with the company who ever worked in the six-sided ring found the traditional four-sided ring to be easier on the bodies. We're also told that the company intends to move forward with the current storylines, talent, and style, but utilize the TNA name going forward when they hit 2024. The plan is to take all moves Anthem has made to improve the company since taking it over from Dixie Carter several years back and continue onward as TNA Impact Wrestling. Well, there you have it. I think that that really explains it. I don't know if I agree, but that really explains it. Dobby the Brain, awesome pay-per-view matches were great. The TNA changed for years. I thought didn't make sense, but so many new fans don't get what TNA used to mean in the past. Total nonstop action is back. Dobby the Brain Heenan, he's excited. January seems like a reset. Palms, TNA, possibly new roster members. Trinity still there. Let's go. Yeah. Look, I can't argue with the fact that it seems like people are excited. And then, guys, I'm going to go ahead and welcome on Rich from the Voices of Wrestling. Rich, dude, I know you were at Bound for Glory, and we were supposed to talk about Bound for Glory, but you covered TNA for a long time on the Voices of Wrestling Network. What the hell do you think about this change back to TNA?
Hey, can you hear me all good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, cool. Sorry if it's a little, I'm in my car driving back, so sorry if it doesn't sound great, but
no, you're cool.
Yeah, kind of expected to come on and talk about, Oscar and Bailey or Alexander and Shelley, and then we get this video at the the end of the show, and we're all kind of wondering in the building, what is this? And I had a little inkling. I was like, I don't know, this kind of seems like they're bringing TNA back, maybe, like just out of the corner of my brain. I'm like, yeah, maybe, because it's like a box from this water, and then they're bringing it out, and then I'm like, nah, I don't know, maybe it's like the lockdown's coming back, or what I mean, something like. And then, goddamn, they did it. TNA is back, and I heard you talk about it, and I'm kind of the same way. I'm gonna have to sleep on it to decide if I think it's good or bad. I don't know right now. It's very strange. I'll give it a chance. I mean, because why not? I mean, maybe we've turned around enough time that TNA is nostalgic again, but there's a lot of bad memories of TNA too. So it's like, it's not all warm fuzzies with TNA. I mean, there's a lot of bad memories too.
Yeah, and the thing for me is that I legit gave up on TNA. I quit watching it altogether. I think probably right around like 2014, 2015. And then I would kind of go in and out. Like they would do something that would get my interest. I'd go in, and then that part of the show would be good, but then I thought the rest wasn't very good at all. And I was just completely over TNA by the time Jeff Jarrett took over. And then when they got away from TNA branding altogether, they called themselves Impact Wrestling, and Anthem had taken over. I started to come back. I kind of liked their vision for the company. It was like, it's kind of watching like an indie, but on television, like a higher, better produced indie. And I felt like that was a cool vibe. And like the roster was refreshing every 6 months, and they were doing a lot of like cool new stuff. And so I was like, okay, I just kind of looked at it as a different company. And I know they kept the lineage of TNA, but a lot of what Impact Wrestling isn't really what TNA used to be. So I really like the fact that they had completely separated themselves from that previous company. And now I have to explain to my wife why my podcast is going to be called Brace for Tits and Ass. So that's going to be weird.
Hey, you'll probably make a lot more money if you
yeah.
You should probably pivot. That's probably a better way to I think the way I've always thought of the difference of TNA and Impact, and Impact's not been all great too. There's been goods and bads of that too, but there's always been an aura of professionalism, I thought, with the Impact name, because like you said, a lot of it is the Anthem run, Impact, and that all kind of, whether it was good or bad at times, and it ebbed and flowed for sure, but it had an aura of, it didn't feel as chaotic as TNA felt for a lot of the periods of TNA. It didn't feel like as kind of low rent as TNA sometimes felt, even though, there was some good stuff in TNA. There's some stuff that I loved. But there was always this kind of just chaotic and at times unprofessionalism to TNA that when Anthem came in, and, obviously the Impact name, predated Anthem a little bit, but, ever since the Anthem ownership, it has felt like a company that, you know, no matter what you think about it, does feel like a solidly well-run, you know, third company in America, you know, pretty solidly third company in America. So I don't know that they're giving all that up by, you know, getting rid of the Impact name and going back to TNA, but I think it does sort of bring back some of those feelings that we had with TNA. So I'm very undecided on this. I think in one breath, it's probably going to help them, you know, re-embrace their history a little bit more, but how much of that history do you really want to re-embrace, I guess, is the question. And for some people, it might be, you know, oh yeah, we love it. And for others, it might be like, oh God, here we go again. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm very, I don't have like a solid conclusion to come to right now at this exact point.
You know, for me, I'm looking at it, and I have some folks, some guys that listen to my folks. Like, there's actually girls listening. It's only guys. So I have a lot of guys that are listening that were kids when TNA was at its peak, and for them, I think that means a lot more than for it was a guy like me. I was in my mid-20s when TNA was at its peak, and then on into my 30s when I started to hate it. And then I was like 35 by the time I started to like. I was like, okay, this is a different company. So like, just the age difference. So I'm guessing that there are men right now that are like 25 to 35. They're probably jumping for joy because their childhood was TNA, and they probably missed that a little bit.
Yeah. It's. I mean, it does. I think it will probably help them embrace their history a little bit more. So on the pay-per-view, did Scott D'Amore's speech show up on the pay-per-view, or did it end when the video was airing?
It ended with the video. It ended with the video, to the best of my knowledge. Yeah, but my very legal. Rich, I'll tell you my very legal link. The link that I had, very legal, above board, FBI, cut out right after the video. That's all I know.
Yeah, I wasn't sure because Scott D'Amore swore a lot, so I'm surprised. Okay. I'm not surprised that got left out. I have a video of it, and I'll try to upload it to the Voice Wrestling YouTube at some point. I'm sure it's made the rounds too. If you want to look for it. But, you know, Scott D'Amore talked about, hey, this is the company that, you know, Jerry Jarrett and Jeff Jarrett and Dixie Carter and Kurt Angle and Sting and you know, this is the company that those people built and these people built. And that's why we're bringing this back or whatever. So it feels like very much a tug at that nostalgia, like you said, like the people that were, you know, growing up with TNA, or people that have the warm, fuzzy feelings about, you know, 2005 TNA or whatever, or, you know, so I guess that's worth a try. I mean, I don't know, you know, some of the other stuff that I've been seeing, and I'm still kind of coming home from the venue and just trying to piece things together. I know that somebody was saying, and I excuse me if I don't know who reported this exactly, or if it was officially reported, you can probably tell me, that they said that they were going to look into like running bigger venues and stuff. And did that get confirmed by anybody?
I don't know that it's been confirmed. I think Mike Johnson is the one that reported that. And if it's coming from Mike Johnson, it might as well be coming from Scott D'Amore himself. You know, they use Johnson as kind of a PR surrogate.
That's probably from the horse's mouth for sure. I don't know about that. I mean, I think they've been good staying in their lane, and I don't know it. This all is like, now I have questions of like, did we get some like investment? Did somebody pay some money? Are there points that like, because it just seems like there's been a lot of, I know that they're doing a lot of upgrades, you know, behind the scenes. And I think that I don't know if they've hinted at it or said it, but like, you know, production's going to get, you know, some changes here and there. I think the video library, they're going to get to a new platform pretty soon. Website, I think. So maybe it's just like, let's do this stuff all in one. But yeah, running bigger venues and that sort of stuff makes me wonder, like, did we like, I mean, I don't know. Did they just see that there's, I don't know that I see the opening that they see for growth. I mean, good for them. Yeah. I'm glad they're going to try it. I don't know if that's the way to grow, and going back to TNA is the way to grow either. It's just a weird, I don't know. Yeah. It's a night of a lot of questions coming out of it. Yeah.
So they're bigger to them, because right now they're doing like, you know, 1,000-seat venues, you know, so bigger to them could be like 2,500. In fact, they're going to the Palms in Vegas, and I've been to the Palms. It's a pretty decent sized venue. You could probably get 2,000, 2,500 people in there. And that's a nice venue. It's like don't make fun of me, but I actually saw Limp Bizkit in there. There was a huge show. So Rich, what was it like?
Now, so it checks out. So.
Yeah. It's not a MAGA hat, I promise. I'm just a 49ers fan. Fucking forgive me. But Rich, what did you think of that?
If that's what they mean by like bigger buildings, then I think that's okay. Like when I hear
Yeah.
bigger buildings, I'm like, oh my God, they're not going to try to like run arenas and stuff like that. They're not trying to go back to, you know, the Bischoff Hogan thing. We're like, we got to run in big arenas, brother. And it's like, we don't because we're not there. You know, we don't have that sort of, but if big arenas means like you said, 2,000 seaters or stuff like that, then I guess that's fine. But then you got to pony up. I mean, I was there today at Cicero Stadium and, you know, that house was Will Ospreay is helping that house. I mean, undeniably that thing sold out because of people like Will Ospreay, and not because, you know, the Impact's done a great job and they've had a good base in Chicago, but you know, without Will Ospreay, I think you're probably, you know, you might get close to selling that place out, but you know, you got sold out, no seats, super no vacancy. I can tell you that because I didn't have a seat. I stood the whole time. You get that because of guys like Ospreay, and you get that because of guys like Bailey and you know, so there's going to be an extra investment, I think, in getting talent if you're going to try to say, hey, we're going to, you know, try to sell an additional 1,000 seats to every single show, because I don't know if the core Impact roster is going to be able to do that. So I don't know what, you know, it's definitely, it's cool. I mean, from the standpoint of people like you and I that do this sort of stuff, it's exciting. I mean, because I'm like, all right, let's, you know, shake it up a little bit. Let's figure out what, you know, sink or swim. It'll be newsworthy, but I don't know. It's ambitious for sure.
Yeah. Hey, so before I let you go, what did you think of the Speedball and Will Ospreay match?
Oh, I thought it was phenomenal. Yeah, I thought it was just incredible. Yeah, being there live, I'm sure it took it up a little notch, but it went easy. It was easy 5 stars for me. I thought, especially the first part of the match, the first half of the match was really good, like really good, solid work. But it was kind of, you know, as people saw, like a kind of a feeling out process. You know, them just kind of doing little stuff like that. But man, those last like 5 to 10 minutes were just exceptional stuff. Like some of the best wrestling you'll ever see, and counters to counters to counters to, you know, hidden blades out of nowhere. I mean, Mike Bailey doing the thing where he came out of the corner with a kick, and Ospreay just took his head off with the hidden blade. It was just like, oh my God. There was a couple of times where, you know, I think anybody watching 100% knew that Will Ospreay was going to win that match, that Bailey wasn't going to. Yeah. But I won't lie, there was a couple of times where Bailey got me on like a 2.9 where I was like, I don't know, maybe, like, and then it didn't happen. But no, I thought that was a phenomenal match. I mean, I don't know how you don't see that and just go and just not love it. And just, I mean, Will's just on another level. And you know, Mike Bailey's fantastic too. This is exactly, you know, this is why I went to the show. You know, I not that I wouldn't have gone to an Impact show, but it was like, oh, Bailey versus Ospreay, I'm there. You know, no doubt about it. Right. But yeah, they worked their asses off in that match, and standing ovation afterwards. You know, holy shit chants at the bell. That's always a good sign. You know, and the crowd was just ready for that match to be great, and those guys delivered a great match. Yeah, I went easy 5 stars there. I thought it was just phenomenal.
Yeah, I went easy 5 stars. In fact, I told a mutual friend of mine and Dave Meltzer's, we have kind of a go-between. I was like, if he doesn't give it 5, I'm flying to San Jose. We're, you know, because I've already
beat him up.
I know he might kick my ass. That brother is jacked, but I've already seen some snobs online. Yeah, I've already seen some snobs online downgrade it just because it was an Impact. So it's like, nothing ever surprises me. But hey, Rich, it looks like I lost you, buddy. So I'm going to go ahead and let you go. Thank you for calling in. And Rich and Joe, they will be back on the Voices of Wrestling Network this Thursday night. Check them out. And then go to patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling and check out the Voices of Wrestling YouTube. They have all kinds of cool stuff going on there. And of course, me and JD are live there every Thursday night on the Voices of Wrestling YouTube. So definitely check that out. Thank you, Rich. Thank you for calling in. He was live at the show. He gave Will Ospreay and Speedball Mike Bailey 5 stars, and I think the rest of us did too. So, hey guys, I think that's gonna do it for me. I really do appreciate everybody that was able to call in. I am sorry that I didn't get to do a deep dive analyzation of Bound for Glory, but it was the pay-per-view of the year. But I think the moral of the story is that TNA is back, and it's back for good. That's what it looks like. So, I get the feeling this is going to be a hot topic for a long time. So don't worry, we're going to have more on this as it keeps breaking. Me personally, I have to go. So thank you guys, everybody. Make sure to join our Patreon or go to patreon.com/The Mike and JD Show. Make sure you're a subscriber to this channel and please give a big thumbs up to this video. I really do appreciate it. I thank you, everybody. Greg Blanton, Official Little Silver, Iowa Productions. Of course, Lucha Doncic, who said he was going to join me tonight on the podcast, but he ghosted me, that motherfucker. I love him anyway. But thank you for everybody for listening and for watching it. And until next time, Mahalo.